The Z06 Corvette, America's favorite midlife crisis mobile. You know the type, pristine, garage queen, only driven on Sundays, and the owner probably has more miles on their New Balance shoes than miles on the odometer. But this isn't that kind of Corvette story. See, Chevrolet spent decades perfecting the art of playing it safe, while the Europeans were experimenting with exotic materials and complex suspension geometries. Chevy was still running around with leaf spring design that dates back to horse-drawn carriages. Sure, they're made out of fiberglass and they gave it a fancy name, but it's kind of like putting a top hat on a turkey. It's still just a turkey, but fancier. Don't get me wrong, the Z06 Corvette was a monster for its day, but it's kind of like Chevy took every performance part they could and threw it at a base model Corvette and called it a day. It's the automotive equivalent of a mullet. Starts off as a nice haircut up front, but you add some party to the back and now it's a questionable decision. Which brings us to this particular Z06. When it rolled in the shop, it was basically a track rack with turn signals. Wait, scratch that, it didn't even have working turn signals, just brake ducts and dreams. The owner wanted something different, a street legal track car that wouldn't blend in with the cars and coffee crowd. So we did what any reasonable shop would do. We made it completely unreasonable. Out with the dated racing harnesses, in came modern safety equipment, and the alignment went from eat tires for breakfast to actually drivable on public roads. And then we gave it a livery that would make every Corvette purist clutch their pearls. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the Cowboy Killer. A C5 Corvette Z06 that breaks every unwritten rule in the Corvette owner's manual. No single stage paint here. We want full race car aesthetic. And you know what? The kids love it. The phone cameras come out, the thumbs go up in the air. It's become the anti-Corvette Corvette. All right, so the owner was looking for advice, trying to figure out what car he should buy. He had a little bit of money to spend, wanted something that kind of made an impression. Was looking at some later model Euros, things along those lines, but it also had to have power. There's a lot of cars that can do that for the budget that he was looking to spend. There's really only one answer if you want budget performance, and it's the C5. I mean, they're a great package, which is also part of the reason I'm so hard on them. It's such an easy answer to where do I get good performance for a good price that it's kind of hard to argue with, and so many people pick it. It's just kind of boring for me at this point. But how do we make these cars not boring? And I always say you got to start with what's under the hood. Now, everybody wants to go fast. Everybody wants to have something that puts down a ton of power, but it's not always about fast. For me, and you know us really well, it's about the presence of the car, and the presence of the car a lot of times is the sound of the car. But with great sound, usually the performance is what drives that. So he found a car, basically had a 383 stroker, a list of mods already done to it, and I'll pop that up on the screen so you guys can see what was done. But dry sump boiling system, the motor's been built, and this thing was set up for track days. But when you pop the hood, it just wasn't impressive. It looked just like any other LS engine, and if you went to a car meet or if you're going for that shock factor, it really wasn't it. But you can't attack the presence of the engine unless the car is running right. So the first thing we did, we dialed in the tune, and unbelievably, we were able to pick up about 50 horsepower over the tune that he came in with, which was really rough and undrivable. I was surprised, to be honest, especially if you spend that much money on a stroker motor, having this thing built, going through it all, and you leave that sort of thing on the table. Car was too rich, timing was all over the place, and we were able to dial it in and make a good amount of power. But again, it just didn't look the part. So we started seeing where the deficiencies there, what was trailing off, what was going on where, what we can improve on, and the thing we kept seeing is the dyno runs trailing off at the tail end, which meant we needed to fix an airflow problem, but we couldn't just fix the airflow problem. We had to go over the top. Now this is an experimental CNC intake manifold that had some pretty good flow numbers. However, my guess at this point is because of the short runners comparative to what was in there, a ported LS2 manifold, we probably lost a little bit of torque swapping it over, but we're able to pick up an additional 15 horsepower on the top end. When you pull up to a car show and you have something that's clean, it sounds real good, you want to pop the hood and have people say, what the f is going on? And that's exactly what we tried to do while leaving it NA. Now you can throw a turbo, you can throw a supercharger that make tons of power, but they just don't have the charm, at least to me, as a really wild, nasty NA build. As you can see, we went ahead and etched in the name onto the intake manifold. Now it is ported for nitrous. We have the jets in there, but we haven't ran the lines yet. Maybe we'll do that in the future, but the gold pop-off plate is just a nice touch. It just adds a little bit more to the wow factor of the car. And if you know anything about LS's, the stock valve covers are just kind of ho-hum. They don't look really cool. We went with a more sleek design, but then mounted those coils up top with these really thick Moroso spark plug wires. And it just adds to the overall presence of the vehicle, tying in, making this thing look interesting when you pop the hood. But you can't have an engine bay like this without the exterior. Now there was a few things that I really liked that were going on when this thing came in. We've got this Track-spec Motorsports hood vent, which obviously is super functional. A lot of Corvette guys like to stick these things on here to extract heat. The only problem is they don't really do too well in the rain, so you gotta be smart where you're driving, otherwise you're getting water on stuff that probably shouldn't have water on it. The car did not have a front valance on here. We gave the car something that gave it a touch more aggression and also looked like it was still race function. And then we needed the side skirts to go along with that. As you can see here, side skirts, those weren't on the car, added those on, which adds to the race vibe of the vehicle. Now, I'm a big fan of ducts. This car had ducts, but it was more or less kind of rigged up in there. So we went with the lower ducting and then actually added it to the brake ducts. So they are functional, they do work, and it looks pretty nice having that open slot in there, looking like air's ready to just be jammed in there. Now it had more or less a makeshift wing that gave it some downforce. Now it wasn't quite at this angle or this design, but I kind of liked the idea of it. It really looked like a hardcore race functional wing that was just meant to make the car have stability. So we added this adjustable kit, and then we actually use FRP and cut a new wing using the same mounts that had on the car. Now this is adjustable so we could play with the angle, but we've got it up for right now just to give it that, extra look. Moving to the back, we updated the taillights. LED, again, just giving it a bit of modernization. They're a little brighter. You can tell that they're in there. It looks a little bit more updated. Now you're probably wondering what is going on back here. Now, a big issue that he had was that the whole AC system was removed. And when I say whole AC system, I'm not just talking about the front condenser and the compressor. They removed the evaporator, they removed all the lines, they removed the dryer, basically anything that would allow us to get AC back in here. And the provisions for them would also have to be moved because this car was dry sump as well. So we couldn't easily convert this thing back to AC, even though he was dying. So we came up with more or less a makeshift solution, which was these NASA ducts, which actually allow air to be pushed into a ventilation system, an electrical air conditioning system that more or less blows cool air onto his neck. It's not quite into the dash, but it does cool him down. These ducts run into here. I've got them disconnected because we're working on the battery right now, but basically fresh airflow goes in here. The fan pumps the airflow back out into those two middle pipes, and really, it's a creative solution that also looks insanely technical and like it's off of a race car, which just adds to the vibe and feel of the car. Now the car's a little dirty, but when he got the car, it was red, but being that it was a track toy, this thing had seen its fair share of abuse, and it looked like the rear bumper had been in some sort of maybe track off-road experience where something got messed up and it had to be repainted, and it got repainted for cheap. So we had a few panels on this car that just weren't cherry Corvette. So if he was going to do it, he'd either have to get this thing resprayed, do a full rewrap, or something else. And that's something else. And this was 2019, before people had started the whole Marlboro trend. I'd like to say that we were one of the cars that set it off, because this was early in it. And yes, there had been some people here and there before, but not like you see in social media now with a lot of these liveries. We were one of the early ones to do it. It kind of crosses the boundaries of a lot of different cultures. It's an American sports car with a muscle car engine. It's got a tuner livery that's respected by European car enthusiasts, and it just has this incredible race vibe while sounding insanely gnarly. There's a lot of things going on where a lot of people can respect it, so I think we nailed what he was looking to do, especially within his budget, and the thing screams Hall's butt. What more can you really ask for? If you were me, you could ask for, what does it sound like with the megaphone? All right, so what we got today is a video a long time in the making. This car, it's got a little place in our hearts. It's a build that answers the question, how would you build a Corvette if you could build a Corvette? But the exhaust system really wasn't cutting it, and it actually ended up losing the car power. It was going through a boreless system that really choked it down. And we wanted to come up with something that not only was unique for the Corvette, but also something that would really make this high-strung LS motor sing when we got it up in the RPM range. So what we came up with is, everybody knows that Corvettes have 4 exhaust tips. Well, we did 3 on this one. It's really just to be different. If you take a look at this thing, we've got the 2-in-1 coming out to the center, more or less a straight section with valves that close it down going through the system, so you have a true silence to violence. But let's take a look at this system. When we did this, we did the pipes going up and over. The one thing that I regretted not doing, especially with recent success on all our megaphone videos, is I never actually got a megaphone into this system, but that's gonna change today. Let's see what we're working with up front here. Now, when I say race, I truly mean race. This thing had these long tube headers that were in here, and you can see they're basically wrapped and strapped down. This wasn't us. In order for us to get a V-band or something else properly on here, we would probably have to retool some of this. So it's not something that we really looked into doing. So we did the center section going back here. And today I'm asking Cody to try to see if he could fit in some megaphones, hopefully with some scrap we have lying around, to see if there's gonna be a difference in the tone before and after a true modified system with and without megaphones. Let's go see what he's coming up with. All right, so I don't think we've even had this car up for 45 minutes, and already Cody's pulled this thing down, and he's already got the megaphones in place now. These were a takeoff of another car that I deemed I wanted something a little bit longer and bigger on. When we get into these projects, especially since the customer isn't outright asking for us to do this, it's kind of like we've got to find time and place to fit this sort of thing in here. Cody has a little bit of downtime right now, and I asked him, hey, let's pull this exhaust down, see what's going on with it, and see if you could fit those megaphones we had lying around here. So what's the plan here, Cody?
So basically, you can see, we got the V-band section here, and all I really was doing was just gonna cut out the length of the megaphone and then cut off this V-band and put it on the megaphone and throw it back up there and see how it fits.
And while Cody's got it out, I'm probably just gonna have him check over the rest of the system. This system's been in the car, I wanna say since 2020. So we're coming up on 5 years now. So it's good to check our work, see what's going on, see if there's any weak points that might have failed. And I'll have Cody show you that stuff when he goes through it. But I think you're going to get these in fairly quickly so we can hear a before and after and kind of see what else is going on with the car. Look, I get it. Some purists are probably typing angry comments right now about how we ruined a perfectly good Z06, but here's the thing. We didn't build this car for them. We built this car for the guy who wants his Corvette to do more than just collect dust waiting for the next Cars and Coffee. Yeah, this one got rid of that leaf spring suspension that Chevy refused to let die, and yes, it's still got all those C5 quirks that keep shops like us in business, but now it's got personality. It doesn't just blend in there with the sea of red Corvettes. It's the one that kids point at. It's the one that makes Mustang guys do a double take, and most importantly, it's the one that gets driven hard. We took everything that made this Z06 great, like the power, the track bred handling, the lightweight design, and we just turned it up to 11. We added some modern touches where they counted and fixed the factory shortcuts and wrapped it all up in a livery that probably gives Barrett Jackson bidders nightmares. And that's really what hot rodding is all about, isn't it? Taking something that's good and making it your own, despite what the purists say. Besides, if you're gonna have a midlife crisis, you might as well make it memorable. Now, if you enjoyed watching us corrupt a perfectly good Corvette, hit that subscribe button, drop us a comment letting us know if we went too far or not far enough, and don't forget, hit that bell icon because we've got more questionable decisions coming your way. So stay loud, stay curious, and we'll catch you in the future.